long trek from Tyr, the party finally arrives at the gates leading to Atlaruk. As Caldrus Moonrunner, the leader of the elven caravan for which the party had been guards for, speaks to the mercenary guards who palm his proffered ceramic coins and eyes travel up to the smooth walls that enclose the town. More guards, armed with obsidian-tipped spears, perch at intervals atop the wall. Every third guard, though, faces in rather than facing the landscape. As Caldrus wraps up his conversation, he motions for the caravan to follow him inside. As you meander through the ramshackle bazaar, watching as elf merchants haggle with an assortment of buyers, Blankish, the half-elf fighter, wanders off to look at something. Realizing that this must be the elven market in Atlaruk, you start thinking about what they should do with the coins once Caldrus pays them. Within minutes, though, the caravan stops, and Caldrus greets more members of his Moonrunner tribe. As the elves begin unloading the cargo, Caldrus asks the party to unhitch the kanks as he fetches their wages. He then disappears into a nearby tent. Hi, it's Raven with Sherry's Bag of Holding, here with part 2 of the Dark Sun campaign recap. Our heroes left the city of Tyr for the trade hub of Atlaruk, hoping to find a better life. Let's see what happens. As the party is unhitching the kanks and starting to unload their cargo from their backs, some of the Moonrunner tribes sneak up behind them with saps in hand. They turn to attack, and as they do, they notice a strange bird-like creature had entered into their midst. An Aarakocra. She was looking at the new wares that were coming down off the kanks, unaware and oblivious to the situation she had found herself in. Instantly, a realization hit the whole party. The small ceramic potteries and doodads that Caldrus and his family were selling would not make much of a profit for the trip and nearly be enough to pay them the 50 gold each that they were offered to protect the caravan. Instead, he meant to turn on them and enslave them, selling them to slavers for a much bigger profit. Fighting their way off, the bird enters into the fray. Her name is Bernita, played by Kylie, our niece. With the battle now in full ensue, the kanks begin to spit acid at the party, trying to subdue them as the Moonrunner tribe of elves batter them to unconsciousness. Unfortunately for our cat, Mina, the space traveler, she falls unconscious yet again, but just then, an entire regiment of guards, led by Captain Telemon of the Merchant Quarter Guards, arrives. "Hold," he says, "stay your weapons! By the authority of Erafinalis, what is this violence?" Immediately, the players say, "They're trying to capture us and sell us into slavery." But the known trade merchant, Caldrus, says, "These are escaped slaves trying to get away, and I'm just trying to merely subdue my cargo." Caldrus looks befuddled. On one hand, the party is making one claim. On the other hand, the merchants are making another. Unable to determine who is in the right, he says, "Only one thing can determine the truth here. A battle in the arena." All members of the tribe and the party are arrested and brought to the Blood Sand Arena in the middle of Atlaruk. There, for hours, the party waits in a holding cell. They're fed, they're watered, they're able to rest up and prepare themselves for the ordeal that is to come. Stripped of all of their weapons, though, they can only contemplate what this holds for them. A night passes and they sleep in their cell. The next morning they're awakened by a guard banging on their door. "Get ready," he says, "your trial begins." They make their way into the bright sunlight. Looking down, they see their weapons have been piled at their feet. The arena before them, filled with sand, stretches out. All around the landscape, dots these bushes of brambleweeds with their razor-sharp talons ready to cut into anybody who gets even near them. Near the center, they see a stack of large ceramic discs in the shape of ceramic coins, and at each corner they spot treasure chests that fit the coins, it appears. The master of games walks out onto his podium. The arena crowd, desperate for any kind of release from this hellish world, awaits the call. The master of games speaks out and says, "Today, we will find out the truth between the Moonrunners and the Caravan Guards. A game called Coins in the Coffers. Each party must grab coins from the center, large enough that you must carry them with 2 hands, and deposit them into your coffer. At the end of a certain time, the team with the most coins will be deemed the winner, and the truth will be told through this. Do not purposefully harm your fellow competitors, but if things were to befall them, that is okay." He sounds a gong, and immediately the party knows what they must do. The bird, being quick with her agile wings, takes flight only a few inches off the ground and swoops in, grabbing a coin almost immediately. The cat, down on all fours, runs as fast as she can, double her normal speed, and also gets to the coins. The elves, on the other hand, are slow and methodical, creeping their way in till they realize that they are outmatched. Within moments, the party already has 2 coins headed towards their coffer when suddenly they hear a ching 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 ching, a gate being opened, and these giant lizards jump out at both teams. Now the battle is ensued, and party members begin to fight off the lizards while trying to grab more coins. In a matter of moments, though, the deciding factor is the fact that the party already has more than half of the coins, and the bird just perches herself right on top of the chest, daring any of the elves to come and try to get some. But then the whole arena shakes, and through magical teleportation, the chests disappear from where they are and reappear closer together out in the middle of the field. The party changes their tactics as they lose a few coins to the elves, but the elves lose a party member into the bramble bush, dragged by one of the lizards. The party gets their coins back into their coffers, and once again Bernita sits on the chest while Mina the cat stands in front of it. With that, the master of games sounds his gong once more and declares our party the victors. They have proven their innocence, that they were under a treacherous scheme. The elves are stripped of their trade rights and thrown out of the city. Telamon, the captain of the guard, comes up to the party and says, "You fought well and bravely. Perhaps arena fighting is your calling. You will get housing in the arena battlements. You will get food and drink provided at a discounted rate, and you can make lots of coins if you're willing to risk your life in the arena." Well, risking your life in the arena is just better than risking your life out in the wilds, and the party agrees. But they need a name. They look around at the way they stung their opponents so easily and came up with the Murder Hornets. With coins now in hand and a place to stay, the party decides it's time to go about and purchase a few things. Inigo, our human archer, decides his bow is rather worn and sun-rotted, and being a woodworker himself, he's going to make himself a new one. He peruses the marketplace until he finds a nice log of ashen wood that he can carve into the shape of a new recurved bow. Feeling the heat beating down on her, Vess decides that she's going to take some leather and some wood and fashion herself a mobile shade instrument, also known as an umbrella. As the two get to work on that, the others, wounded from their travels and during the arena fight, look for ailments and ointments to relieve their wounds. A few days later, they decide it's time to fight once again in the arena and enter into a fray. A round robin, if you will, of last man standing. Don't kill your opponents if you can help it, but, be the last one standing. They get pitted against the Hounds of Hell versus the Murder Hornets. As they make their way into the arena, they see it's been redecorated with giant crystals now dotting the landscape in these arcane tubes. As the first of the Hounds of Hell approaches it, flames burst out from one of the crystals. The party circumvents the crystals and spread out, but get too close at one point and zap, it hits them with electricity. And they realize that each crystal randomly attacks with a different element each time. With the Hounds of Hell now in full battle, the gnolls make their way through, and Inigo the Archer begins firing away as Vess blasts away with her hidden magical abilities. But few in the stands do take notice as the crowd roars as one after one, Vess takes down a gnoll. Then a gnoll takes down Mina. The battle is fierce, but eventually our heroes once again come through and win the round. With more money in pocket and a place to stay, they're feeling pretty well about themselves when they are met the next day by Salonius, one of the chief clerks of the arena. He has a special match this weekend set up for them, to which the governor, Arephisanalis, will be in attendance. This drives the party to do their best, and they prepare that night for the unknown. They make their way into the arena that next morning, waiting inside the holding cell as battle after battle goes on above them, the noise driving them fiercely to compete. Eventually, one of the guards shows up and tells them it is their turn to enter into the fray. Their gate lifts, and this time they see the arena is dotted with more than half a dozen obsidian posts flattened on top, spider webs stretching across many of them. On top of one of them, this giant purple spider sits. On the other end of the arena, they see strange, psionically gifted individuals with long, gaunt, narrow faces, known as the Gith. The Githaki are known for their psychic abilities, and as soon as the gong sounds, once again, playing Last Man Standing, the Githaki uses his psionic energy to propel himself straight up and landing on top of one of these 20-foot tall pillars. Immediately begins to throw javelins down at our party. One of the spiders creeps around the side and shoots webbing out, immediately catching Mina, the cat, in the webbing and immobilizing her. She struggles, but her strength is not good. Immediately, Bernita goes down by one of the spiders and almost dies. Inigo knocks one of the gifts from the top of the pillar using his arrows. Vess can't decide between moving between attacking the Gith and trying to heal Bernita. Finally, she rushes over and uses her ability to stabilize Bernita from dying and goes back into the fight. But then suddenly she remembers that her god, the genie, has gifted her with the ability to heal by touch. As she moves back to heal Bernita, Bernita just comes to consciousness on her own. Inigo keeps the pressure up with a barrage of arrows at the Gith, and eventually one goes down, but the spiders begin to take center stage as they surround Mina. Two Gith move in for the kill. They start hurling javelins tipped with psionic energy. The impact of one of them immobilizes Mina, and now she can't move also. She fights mightily. Two Gith and a spider on top of her. One of the spiders finally turns at one of the Gith, and he takes it down with a huge sweep of his broadsword. Mina stays up bow, surrounded, but only for a short while. Eventually, she is rendered unconscious. That's when Inigo steps up, running across the battlefield. He lets loose a barrage of arrows, taking down two of the Gith, as Vess blasts one of them directly in the face. With one last move, an arrow shot to the gut though, one of the Gith dies from his wounds. The spider, on the other hand, turns on the Gith leader, seeing him as the biggest threat. It webs him up, bites him, and fills him with its venomous poison. It then begins to wrap him up for a meal and drag him off the arena. With only one Gith remaining and Mina down, Inigo lets loose, boom, an arrow. It ricochets off of one of the pillars, boom, striking the Gith in the head, and he is now rendered unconscious. The Murder Hornets have won their third fight in a row. The crowd goes wild. There's cheers and yells, and then screams, and then yells of murder as one of the spectators falls from the stands, bloody mess on the ground. Immediately, chaos erupts in the arena. The guards move in with their whips, whipping the slaves that are in attendance to move out and telling the common folk to go home. The Murder Hornets are gathered up and taken to their holding cell, where they sit for an hour waiting, wondering what has transpired at the arena this day. Eventually, Salonius enters and says, "Thank you for waiting. Unfortunately, there was a murder in the stands. One of our guard captains was stabbed and killed. The governor has given me ward to grant you a writ to find out who has done this murder and bring them before the governor for justice. He wishes to have a non-biased third party do this because of the fact that it was a guard captain that was murdered. Upon payment and a written decree that their use of magic would not go punished, the party decides that it's in their best interest to investigate this, to which he lets them know that it was Captain Telamon himself that was murdered, the same captain that had put them in the arena after their brawl in the marketplace. They move into the stands to investigate. Vess starts to look around the area, but there's blood everywhere, and she's unable to discern anything. But then Mina, using her cat-like senses, sniffs out, and underneath one of the stands, she pulls out an obsidian-handled bone dagger. Immediately, Vess spots magical glyphs upon the dagger that begin to fade, and Mina smells poison. Bernita goes over to some of the witnesses that the guards had held from that area and tries to get them to give information, but is unable to. However, Inigo sees right through their lies and gets the truth from them, that they spotted a 6.5-foot tall bald gladiator with gladiator sandals running from the scene as the Captain Telamon fell. Vess uses her abilities to spot some discrepancies in their story, though, and gets the fact that the gladiator headed towards the guard barracks. Mina, meanwhile, searches over Captain Telamon's body, checking the wound, and sees that it was, yes, the knife dagger that killed him. However, the wound he received was not sufficient enough to kill him so quickly. Sniffing around the wound, though, Vess spots poison. Bernita looks at it and sees that it is immediately cactus poison that is needed arcane magic to create, not your average murder choice. The party then heads for the guard barracks to see what they see there. There are several guards working out and playing games as they enter. They begin to question them. Did anybody come through? What did you see? This is then that Inigo spots a dwarf, looking very disheveled and shady, moving off towards the training grounds. He sneaks after them and spots the dwarf meeting with a tall, bald gladiator. The party moves in stealthily and attacks. They're attempting to render them unconscious. The fight starts, and the dwarf and the gladiator move out. Bernita uses her magical abilities to command the gladiator to give up and grovel at her feet. He does, saying he only wished to save the governor's life, that the captain had a plot to kill the governor. In confusion, Mina pulls forth her metallic sword from its sheath and holds it to the dwarf's throat. He immediately gives up that yes, they actually are a member of the Veiled Alliance, as is Governor Araphistonalis. He says take them in, and they do, without any further confrontation. As they enter into the governor's chamber, he immediately recognizes the dwarf and says, "Burke, what is the meaning of this?" Burke lays low that Captain Telamon was a member of the Truth, those that hate arcane magic and know that it defiled and destroyed the world of Athos. The governor dismisses his guards and then informs the party that he himself is the leader in Atlaruk of the Veiled Alliance, a member of preserving arcanist magic, that know that magic can be useful and helpful as long as it does not defile further the world. But many do not look at it that way. He thanks the party for their help and sees through the deception of Captain Telamon to kill him, and Burke the dwarf and the gladiator are allowed to go free without any recompense. He offers the party a writ, a special governor's seal that allows them free housing and lodging whenever they're in Atlaruk, and food and drink, and asks them if they wish to join the Veiled Alliance and help him bring magic back to the world. He would give them a trial in a few days and allow them to heal up and rest after their long battles in the arena and hunting down Captain Tolamon's killer. The party agrees and head off towards their new lodging to take a few days to rest, recuperate, and see what the future has in store for them. And next time we'll see what the future does in store. Thank you, and hopefully you'll join me again.